Hello everybody, it's Tammy. Welcome back to my channel, Creative Girl Vintage. If this is your first time to visit, I do crafting tutorials and projects and other fun things using vintage materials, like these little collage boards that I just made. I had so much fun with these. They were like creating a junk journal page, but I didn't have to commit to the full junk journal. Does that make any sense? It was like I needed to unleash some creativity and get it out of my system. So I was able to do these fun little collage boards. I had a really good time doing them. They felt so satisfying. I guess that would be the word. So I just hope that maybe you'll get a little inspiration from these. I'll also let you know when they are available in my Etsy shop. And there's some history lessons too, because some of these vintage pieces I used have a little bit of a background that I thought was pretty interesting. So let me give you a little walkthrough and I'll kind of tell you a little bit how I put these together. Let's start today with the Golden Book of Birds. Now, the reason I call these my collage boards is because each one of these, they are actually chipboard, which I sandwich between my front images and the back images, okay? Each one has a little easel on back, so they stand up beautifully for display wherever you would like to tuck them in. I didn't actually use my golden book for this cover, but I scanned it. I wasn't going to deface that book. I do draw the line on some things, but the image was fine with me. I made a pocket using an old postcard with a stamp, and that's what this reminded me of making a junk journal page. I was making these pockets and I was tucking things in, and the little pink rose and the vintage bird feather, velvet rose, some greenery, seam binding ribbon, rickrack buttons, flowers, all kinds of cute things. And I promised you a history lesson. And this little card right here, the Blue Jay, is an original card. And what these are, I have another one here just so I can kind of show you how these came. These were called Useful Birds of America. And in the 1800s, Church and Dwight Company out of New York, which is responsible for Arm & Hammer, put these little bird cards in their products. So people, of course, collected them as little bird trading cards. And what I really loved on this is at the bottom of these cards, it says, "For the good of all, do not destroy the birds." I guess what was happening during this time where people were killing a lot of birds for their decorative feathers. So it was like, they were taking a stand to protect the birds, and they made these gorgeous little cards. So that's added on right there with a little bit of rickrack. This Blue Jay on the back was actually a dust cover off of a book that was just ripped to shreds, but I was able to save this for the back on here. And of course, all my work is signed and dated, and this right here is the Golden Book of Birds. Next up, we have all around chocolate frosting. Isn't this sweet? So my inspiration from this piece came from this little cookbook cover here with this lady and her chocolate cake. It was a Hershey's cookbook cover, and I love the Etsy community, and I downloaded this image from Etsy shop Sweet Pea Curiosities. The link to that shop will be below, and this was actually on a sheet that had I don't even know how many covers from vintage cookbooks you can download and make any size you want, use them in your art. They're just really beautiful. So go check that shop out. Some nice things in there. And so anyway, that was my inspiration for the background. And I figured since she had her chocolate cake, she needed her all-around chocolate frosting recipe, original recipe. And I left the recipe completely where it is uncovered. So if you wanted to prepare that, you can. This is a little pamphlet that says Pillsbury Best. The pocket is made from, it was like a little tea towel, a little cross-stitched tea towel, chain of daisies, some pretty flowers. There's a tea coupon back there, a little vintage tea coupon. This is a little beautiful little silver spoon that is filled with sugar. And these pink roses here were actually on a calling card, a vintage calling card, that I cut them out, put them on there, and glittered them. There's some rickrack. On the back is more recipes, and of course the little easel so you can prop this right up on your kitchen shelf. So this one here is all around chocolate frosting. Okay, I definitely have cake on the brain. This is have a good cake on hand. Now, I'm definitely old enough to remember a time when you really needed to have a good cake on hand. I mean, we didn't have cell phones and tablets and 500 cable channels. We actually visited each other, and that meant having a little something on hand and some coffee, and you got to sit and visit with your friends and neighbors and relatives. So that was good times. And this here is actually a recipe that came out of a little recipe booklet. I have a really large collection of those that I find at the flea market all the time, and they're so pretty. And this one here, actually, I kept it so you can make the recipe, and there's a frosting recipe as well. So, lace pocket here, beautiful silver spoon with a lace bow and a pink rose, sugar in the spoon. Here's also some of those pink roses that were on the last project that came from that place card. This is, okay, another little history lesson. This is a cigarette card, okay? And between 1875 and the 1940s, these were included in cigarette packages, and they were collectible, they were trading cards, and they advertised brands and sometimes even stiffened the packages. They have such pretty graphics on them, don't they? I mean, she sort of looks like she is just ready to have a good cake on hand. So also I added a little child's little china plate, and a little vintage bird, a pink rose there. There's some daisies. This has a lot of rickrack, and this also has a lot of crocheted lace trim on here too. Coffee cake recipe on the back, easel, and this is have a good cake on hand. By the way, the cake of many uses. Okay, the last piece I'm going to show you today, I'm going to call the loveliest of lilacs. This started out, this is an original vintage photo, which looks like it's such a loving grandma, and she's in her garden with her garden shears, clipping her flowers, and I made a little lace pocket here, pretty purple flower. I tucked in some little daisies and greenery in there. This is another one of those tiny vintage bird cards we talked about earlier. From a magazine, it was a flower growing magazine dated 1950. I rolled up this little advertisement here, and this is for finest high-grade French lilacs. And this was an advertisement for a floral arrangement class. Up here in the corner, clipped on with a beautiful lilac color old clip-on earring. I added the loveliest of lilacs, that was from that old magazine, and this beautiful card that reads, a tiny butterflower given in friendship's name, though years may chase each other, will kind affection claim. So a little bit of lace doily right there behind that, and that just clips all together right there for this little collage board. And flipping it over from that Garden Club magazine, I have the Garden Club forum, and put that right on the back, all enforced, easel, ready to stand up. This is so pretty for summer, and I made sure to very gently with a soft lilac glitter these little beautiful flowers that she's trimming in her garden. So this is the loveliest of lilacs. Well, that was my walkthrough today of my new collage boards. I hope you like them. So they will be available in my Etsy shop on Friday, June 11th, 2021, 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time. And the link to my shop is below. And I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I truly appreciate it. And subscribe to my channel so you can join me for my next creative project. So be well, my friends, and I will see you soon.